Good afternoon. I'm Eric Schiff, a professor at Syracuse University, and I'm here today because I'm the director of the the EPIC Buildings Program, which stands for Energy Program Innovation Cluster. It's a Department of Energy project that's sponsored both at Syracuse University with our collaborators and a number of other schools. We are the only EPIC center that is devoted to building technologies. The specific technology thrust of EPIC Buildings, which is co-sponsoring today's presentations, is energy hardware for buildings. It is the Department of Energy, and hardware is emphasized because the ramp-up period for new innovations in hardware is much longer than for software. Anyway, our program is now in its second year. We did a seminar similar to today's a year ago and ran the first summer project last summer, which we all consider to be highly successful, and we're looking forward to running a project this summer. Those of you on the call should have received a link to apply for next summer's intellectual property program, and we'll be talking about that a good deal more after I pass the baton on to Molly Zimmerman to run the program for the Science and Technology Law Center. Let me just thank, in addition, our collaborators. In addition to the Science and Technology Law Center, we're also working with the Clean Tech Center. That's part of Center State CEO, and both the Science and Technology Law Center and the Clean Tech Center received New York State support that I want to acknowledge so I don't forget it later. One from NYSERDA, the Energy Research and Development Administration, and the other from NYSTAR, an Economic Development Agency of New York State. So we thank all of them for their support. I'm really excited to hear more about the intellectual property program. Just briefly, EPIC Buildings provides that support. We help sponsor some of the work that goes on in the summer. New York State sponsors it, and then I'm sure there's some internal sponsorship as well. But we also run a prototype program. The Clean Tech Center runs an accelerator program that's intended to help EPIC Buildings companies develop and promote their technologies and develop them further. I'll just mention quickly that there is a deadline if you're interested in the intellectual property program that the Science and Technology Law Center runs, and that's about 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks from today, February 24th. So if you're interested, there will be a link sent to you, all the participants in today's meeting, so you'll have that opportunity to apply. Okay, we have an exciting program with a great selection of the personnel working, the staff of all sorts working at the Science and Technology Center. I want to turn it over to Molly Zimmerman, who's representing the Science and Technology Center at this stage, and she'll be introducing the additional speakers and presenters today. So turning it over to you, Molly, and thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much, Eric and Tammy, for hosting this today. We're very happy to be here. I also want to acknowledge Joe Casper from Mako M3 and Bing Dong from Well Building Control. They both worked with our program last summer. And so after we tell you a little bit about what we do at the Innovation Law Center, they'll tell you about what it was like to work with us last summer. So I'm the managing director of the New York State Science and Technology Law Center, which is located at Syracuse University's College of Law Innovation Law Center. And the executive director of that is Brian Gerling, who is here. And we'll each say a little bit about ourselves and then tell you about our program. I'm an attorney by training. I have been with the program 15 years, and we are happy to work with technologies all over the state. We're technology agnostic. And it's an experiential learning program where law and business students work with real people commercializing a new technology. I help connect people from the state with our great teams here. And Brian, I'll turn it over to you now.
Thanks, Molly. Hi, everyone. Hi, Eric. Tammy, thank you for having us here today. My name's Brian Gerling. I have about 20 years experience in intellectual property litigation and procurement. I am the acting executive director of the Innovation Law Center. And I'll tell you a little bit about the kind of the service that we provide here. Is what I like to say is we provide a due diligence report to our clients that are centered around identifying and capturing competitive advantages in the marketplace. So from a legal side, that is, are you eligible for intellectual property protection around your technology? And we provide a legal landscape right up around that particular analysis for you. And in addition, it's a cross-disciplinary program with our MBA, our Whitman School of Management, and the students on that side of the house provide a market analysis around your technology. So what is your what's the market for your technology? We kind of package that together in a 20 to 30 page written report that you can then take to a potential funder and identify for them what your competitive advantages are and just how you've de-risked your idea, why you're a better investment risk than the other folks that they'll talk to on any given day. So in a nutshell, that's kind of the service that we provide. We'll dive into a little more detail on how we go about doing that. And with that, I'll turn it over to our next team member. I see Dave Eilers is on. Dave.
Thanks, Brian. So Dave Eilers, I have a little more industry experience, about 30 years. And it's my privilege to bring the Whitman MBA students over to the Innovation Law Center. I teach corporate entrepreneurship, and we'll talk about what does a technology commercialization landscape look like, and how does it help you, as Brian said, not only with future funders, but in partnering and maybe even fielding your own firm or even getting a license. So those are some of the options that we explore for you that are part of that due diligence report. With that, I'll throw it over to Ray Leah.
Yeah, hi, I'm Ray Leah, and I'm a mechanical engineer, and I just retired in 2020 with 44 years at a local medical company. I worked very close with Dom, who's sick today, and Dom was my supervisor for many years, sort of a mentor, and together we have hundreds of patents. We worked in R&D. My background is mechanical engineering, and I've taken many courses in optics, so I have a background in optics. Dom's a chemistry engineer and electrical engineer, so he's got 2 degrees. So together we cover quite a variety of technologies, and like I said, we had hundreds of patents between us. And now who's next? Brian?
Yep. Hi, my name is Brian Harrison. I'm actually Brian Gerling's teaching assistant, and I'm one of the senior research associates with the Innovation Law Center. You can see my pictures of my colleagues. We are third-year law students who took the program in our second year and are now leading and managing a lot of the research that goes on in the center. Each of us have assigned several second-year students, and we manage them, and we help with client outreach and coordination to make sure these research projects are what is needed. And yeah, thank you.
Brian also managed a lot of the work we did last summer, because in addition to our academic year work, we also have a summer session. We are funded in part by the New York State Economic Development Corporation, and that is because of the recognition of the importance of establishing an innovation ecosystem to bring new technologies from the bench to the market. And our program predated our designation as the New York State Science and Technology Law Center, but because of the importance of the research we do, NYSTAR recognized that and funded us to provide that to more people than we were able to just under the academic program. Our program is not a substitute for patent counsel or legal counsel. We don't provide legal advice. We provide lots of research that's relevant to making decisions about next steps. The, you can't really underestimate how important it is. And I think Joe and Bing will attest to this. You have to understand the intellectual property landscape, the market landscape, and what regulations or standards are appropriate to your technology. Brian?
Sure, as I alluded to earlier, this due diligence report that we provide, it requires a bunch of different steps. So the first step that we take is to have an initial meeting with the client to get a better understanding of their technology. And much like a company meeting with a patent attorney on how to describe their invention and how it would eventually be claimed in a patent, we walk through a variety of different checks with the client as we develop our research strategy around how we're going to perform our patent landscape. A little bit further about how the process works. We will provide, after that initial meeting, we'll provide a table of contents for our written work product that we're going to provide. We provide the client with a timeline for any additional meetings that we may need in order, as we embark on our research, we may have some side streets that we are going down that we may need some corrective action on, or it may invite further discussion with the client. From there, we dive deeper into the research, and much like what the patent office would do when examining a patent application, we take a deep dive into the prior art that's available in that particular science or engineering area. And then we'll provide these different gates, if you will, as we move forward in that process. So essentially what we're identifying for that client around this competitive advantage is, what is your path to patentability? Can you get a patent on this particular invention? The flip side of that is if it looks like there's a lot of obstacles in that path, what's your freedom to operate, or what's your clearance in order to sell that product without running the risk of infringing upon an existing valid US patent? As Molly mentioned, we are technology agnostic, so we work with a variety of different technologies that could be ranging from uncrewed aerial systems to building systems, sensor networks to medical devices. So if there are different forms of regulations or even industry standards that might be in play, we'll conduct research around that and provide that information to the client. Sorry, just moved. Then again, we're packaging this together in a written report that the client can take with them. We have a debriefing or a presentation at the end of the semester for the client, where the students get to provide a presentation around their research. And we also use that as a debriefing process to make sure that we're hitting the client's needs, and eventually, or inevitably rather, that leads to additional projects. So we have plenty of repeat customers.
Yeah.
Oh, this is Ray again. So from the engineering perspective, from our Dom's experience and my experience, what we bring to the table is dealing with our patent lawyers at work. We had to make sure that they understood exactly what not just the technology is, but what we thought was the important part that had to be protected, so that when they're doing their patent searches or prior art searches, that they will be looking at the things that we think is important to cover. And then that helps them set up the strategy for the patent claims that they're going to claim. And sometimes they discover that, what were invented has already been invented. So then that saves a lot of time and energy and money going further. So that we bring that to help the students learn the technology and things like that. So the first thing, once the students meet with the client, what we do is encourage them to ask as many questions as possible so that they can understand it, just like in the picture here with that Einstein. try to make it as simple as possible, bring it down to like layman terms so that they can understand it. And then once they meet with the client, then one of the first tasks they have is to write up in their own words what the client's after, what the technology is, what is unique about that technology, so that they can then do a prior art search and find out, has this been done before? Is, you know, what is new? And then that will help the client in the end. If they're going to create a patent, then that can help them with their patent claims. And that's about it.
All right, moving on to, so I alluded to earlier about identifying competitive advantages. So on the legal side, that is, what forms of intellectual property protection can you achieve for your technology? And so that will allow you then to keep competitors from practicing that particular technology. So in the case of patents, for example, we are looking at what is your ability to get a patent on that particular piece of technology. And the reason for that is, and the reason why that would provide you with a competitive advantage in the marketplace, is that a patent grant is a grant from the government that will allow you to exclude all others from practicing what is claimed in your patent for a period of 20 years. So by definition, if you are eligible for patent protection, you have gained a competitive advantage in the marketplace. So oftentimes we're looking around patent protection for a particular technology. Now, there's certain statutory criteria that certain subject matter isn't eligible for patent protection. For example, algorithms or source code or object code are not capable of patent protection. A software method employing those types algorithms and software would be patent eligible. So we're looking for a different form of intellectual property protection for something like that. So now we're looking into the realm of potentially copyright protection, which would protect the zeros and ones in the code, the arrangement of those zeros and ones, or we're looking to trade secret protection, which allows coverage or protection for an algorithm or software code that you couldn't achieve through patent protection. Sorry, my screen is okay. Coming back to so oftentimes we're looking at a variety of different intellectual property protections around a person's technology. Once we've developed kind of a strategy around which form of intellectual property may be applicable here, sometimes a company is looking for a brand name around that particular technology. So we may be looking at possible trademarks and trademark protection around that particular technology or the product that's going to actually embody that technology. So we not only look at patents, but we're looking at copyright protection, we're looking at trade secret protection, we're looking at trademark protection, and kind of devising an IP strategy around this particular technology for the client. We report back on that in our report, and we also then the students will present on that at the end of the semester.
So I'll pick it up from here. Brian alluded to the fact that this is the merging of law, technology, engineering, and business. So just a few slides about what our market research and commercialization looks like. By the way, I would invite anyone to ask a question in the chat. Molly is going to be monitoring that. And so being a professor in corporate entrepreneurship, I always like to ask questions of the audience. What do you think the number one reason that startups and new technology fail? And if you want to venture a guess, you can put that in the chat just to test your chat ability. And while people are answering that, I just want to go back to one thing, and that is on the Einstein slide, there was something underneath. Oh, there you go. Desirability, feasibility, and sustainability. So our management students are trained in something called Lean Startup. And those are the steps they go through. You can go back to the research slide. So the number one reason startups fail, did anybody venture a guess, Molly? No takers? Okay. They must be thinking there's points off in an academic environment. The number one reason they fail is because nobody wants whatever it is. There's no problem solution fit. And that's why what Ray talked about, that technology write-up, is so important. We pick it up from there and make sure that there's a product market fit. So how do you do that? You look at the size of the market opportunity, known as total available market, also the service addressable market in some segment. And then we also try to suggest, based on the competitive landscape, what would be a good starting point. In other words, a beachhead market or an obtainable market, because you want to build sustainability and competitive advantage in whatever you're doing. We can go to the next slide. So when we do our commercialization analysis, and again, this is a recommendation of possibilities, because technology markets are dynamic, we do the best we can to suggest for a point in time what your path of least resistance to commercialization might be. You could go head to head with one of the competitors. You could also partner. You could license your technology. You could go find funding. And there's more and more funding. Obviously, there's the non-dilutive funding, which is usually government grants and things like that. Then there's seed stage funding, which is pre-revenue. Then there's early stage. You have some revenue, but probably not profitability. And so we can help a little bit with that landscape as well. But you're constantly de-risking your idea as you go from that unmet need to some pilot program, some early stage piloting, prototyping, things like that, onto profitability, or maybe even export. The export markets are also good places to look, and sometimes our research study uncovers some overseas opportunities that are viable. One of the things about de-risking is you also need to look at the regulatory landscape, because those are table stakes when you're accessing markets. So I'll let my colleague pick up on the regulatory part.
Well, and primarily what we want to point out is that rounds out the report, looking at understanding the technology, looking at the IP, understanding the market, and then knowing what regulations apply, both state and federal regulations. We are just about at 2:30, and so that leaves 10 or 15 minutes for each of our next presenters who worked with us last summer to talk a little bit about their technology and what they were able to learn from the Innovation Law Center. And then if there are any questions, please put them in the chat or feel free to ask them after the presentations. So Joe and Joe Casper and Chris Nolan, welcome. Thank you for being here, and thank you for congratulations on your success.
Hey,
Joe?
thank you. I hope you can hear us. Both Chris and I are sitting across the desk from each other, so we'll talk together here, and we've got a slide deck we're going to share. So thank you. It's been working with the Innovation Law Center has really helped our company grow significantly, and I'll talk a little bit about how we struggled when Chris and I started up Ephesus Technology and then moved it into from an LLC into a C Corp, and then how we struggled with intellectual property. So we'll share a little bit about that and how we see the benefits and what we have achieved and what we have done with the Innovation Law Center that has really helped us propel us into the market. So Chris,
do you see our screen? I'm trying to share my screen. Do you see?
Can Chris? Yeah, can Chris? Oops, sorry, Molly.
Carrie, I think you might have to make Chris or Joe a co-host.
Yeah, if you can make Chris, he's got it.
Like I can, it's letting me share, but do you see it here?
No, we don't. I can stop. Let me stop share here.
Okay.
There we go.
Oh, let me get it back up here. See it there?
Yep, now we do.
Okay, great.
Can you see? Okay.
Good. I want to just talk to this slide of just Chris and I, we both come from Lockheed Martin, our team of engineers. I've been in the industry for 25 plus years in the semiconductor industry, and Chris has worked over at Lockheed prior to that. But the key thing is what we were able to do is we start up very technology strong company. We were innovating, as was previously mentioned at Ephesus. Ephesus was known for lighting the first Super Bowl with LED lighting, and it was in Phoenix, Arizona, and it happens to be this year's Super Bowl will be played again underneath the Ephesus sports light. So it's kind of a full circle. We lit the last 7, and now we're back again this year. When we developed the light or whatever, just one thing I think was mentioned earlier, we didn't build a light to light a ball field. We weren't trying to build a light the brightest. We built a light, something totally different. Like you said, it had to be a customer, and it was looking for player performance. We were looking for fan experience. And how do you create that? It happened to be our lighting solution, created exactly what we were looking for. Chris and I, we've secured a little over 59 patents on the technology while we were at Ephesus. We took the company from nothing in 5 years. We were over $60 million in revenue, and we sold all of our intellectual property. And we became some of our key accomplishments. Of course, you can see over on the left-hand side, we are the first on a lot of professionals all the way down through. And this year, we'll talk a little bit of what we're doing with our next entrepreneur opportunities.
So I'm going to talk for just a brief moment about, I think we want to just tell you a little about the product we do now. So Ephesus, a company was sold. We had a brief period of non-compete. And once that expired, we started a new entity, M3 Innovation, to develop lights for sports lighting for a new market. Primarily at Ephesus, we were focused on the professional market. Here, we're focused on municipal K through 12 situations. And this pie chart kind of shows what we're trying to do. We realized that fixture cost, to a customer that buys this sports lighting, the fixture cost was only about 35% of the total cost of the solution. If we wanted to use technology to disrupt the market again and make something revolutionary, we needed to focus not just on the fixture, we needed to focus on how to reduce the total cost. Installation was about 1/3 of the cost also, because every light that gets installed has to have multiple wires connected. There's a huge amount of effort that goes into wiring electrical and controls on every fixture. In addition, there's project management that was about 20% of the cost for all the other stuff that you have to buy and pay for just to get the product installed onto a pole. And then lastly, there's an aiming process with sports lights that we know all too well. We spent days and days on the University of Phoenix Stadium for lighting the Super Bowl, just out laser aiming every fixture time and time again to make the lighting perfectly illuminated on the field. So that's what we saw, and we started M3 to address every one of those challenges and make the best possible, through innovation and technology, make the best possible solution for the customer. So a brief glance, I know you're not sports lighting people, but this is what we developed. We developed something that looks unlike any other traditional sports light ever seen in the market. This took over 2 years for us to develop, through concept design, through early patent filings and provisional patent filings, we went through prototyping and beta site testing, and then low rate initial production, and until we invested in tools. So this is basically our system. We targeted our innovation on these 5 key areas on the left-hand side that make our product disruptive. And just real briefly, we had to develop custom sport optics and all the engineering behind that. We eliminated these steel structures called cross arms that were a huge cost in our field. We focused on the easiest possible installation, the most redundant and reliable solution, and the real end goal was to make the lowest cost solution, the fastest ROI for our customers. So that's kind of what the system looks like. And I just wanted to show a brief video of one of our recent installations of a large high school football field in Florida. Yeah, so that's one of our most recent installations that was just a huge success, and it looks great. And I think we've done a lot of fields now, I mean, including the last 7 Super Bowls that look great. But I think what was innovative about those fields is how we did it, like how we achieved it, and we did that through technology and disruptive technology. So you can see here we took down, I mean, these are traditional sports lights. We took down a large quantity of very heavy, high wind load sports lights, and we put up our new disruptive solution. That, you know, it reduced the light count in half, it reduced the weight on the pole by a factor of 4, and it reduced the total wind load by a factor of 5. So these are the kind of things that we put into this disruptive solution, and they're all, I mean, it was years of engineering work, and it's all, it would have no value if we weren't very well protected on intellectual property. So Joe and I are always focused on intellectual property. That's what we do. We design products, we commercialize them, and we protect them through intellectual property. And I think we use intellectual property a little differently than some other customers. We don't, or some other companies. We don't use it to slow down our competition in developing products as much as we use it to spec ourselves into opportunities.
That's the number one thing that we look at the intellectual property for, is to create us a differentiator from our disruptive product where we can put it into spec writing, into municipal. We said we're going to target the municipalities, where our product now can be spec'd in through intellectual properties that if somebody tries to infringe upon that, and we're immediately brought into the opportunity. This is a list of our current 20 portfolio of intellectual property that we have secured in the last, say, 3 years, that we've been working right here. We're right in the Syracuse Center of Excellence building, literally down the hallway from where the staff is located. But I'll just talk a little bit about the couple of the last ones that we have worked on with the Innovation Law Center.
Yeah, so these 20 filings happened over the course of almost 3 years, and we file so much intellectual property. There's a few challenges we just wanted to identify. One is it's slow. It's a long process for our engineers to communicate, like Ray was saying, to communicate that to an IP attorney and get it filed and then understand the market. It's just a slow process. And you can see some of these were actually filed in 2019. We're still waiting granting because there's multiple rewrites and revisions of claims. It translates to very expensive. It's a huge expense in our business. We spend a lot on IP protection and filing patents. And it's difficult. They're still difficult to defend in certain cases. So we kicked off a partnership with the ILC last summer, and it was really, I think we can't say enough good things about it. It was really a huge success. We focused, our first one that we worked on was this item number 19 for an auxiliary lighting system that we developed for our lighting platform. We've got one here. We'd like to actually show. I'll stop.
Can I show it here?
Yeah. Okay. So on Joe's screen, here, go ahead.
I'm going to show you, it's part of our system. It's an auxiliary light, and we actually put it on the back side of the module. By connecting it to the module, we're able to add auxiliary light in an event situation. If we were to lose power at a stadium or arena, the individuals can leave safely the venue. We created, inside of this light is a printed circuit board. It has a lot of intellectual property built around it, and it turns on and turns off. It's tied to our system. It runs off of a low voltage. There was a lot of intellectual property around this. We knew that this here in the marketplace, a similar system costs hundreds of thousands of dollars into an event in a sporting venue, where we could do it very, very low cost at $1,000. So an order of magnitude cheaper, we could come in and build the system, attach it to our system, and move it into the marketplace. However, before we could sell one of these or put it on the market, we had to secure the intellectual property. That's so important, because if I already was selling this and it was on the market before I put in some I wouldn't be able to make a sale, or I wouldn't be able to put intellectual property around it. As a result of this installation, we worked with the Law Center. They actually did a lot of research. They put all the material together of where this was applicable, how we should approach the patent, how we should file it. They hooked us up with outside counsel So they wrote the report. It was a very thorough report. Chris, maybe you can talk about the impact of the report.
Yeah, it was really great, and it was different than our typical process where it's engineer driven. We're so engineer focused, and Joe and I and our team, we understand our competitors, but this it put it in the students' hands and the team's hands to kind of look at it at a way broader perspective. We got a great report, and what I think it helped us address our 3 challenges. It made it much faster. This was like the most fast track patent we ever filed, because that report was actually it was a great kicking off point for filing claims. We adjusted many of our claims following that report and following the freedom to operate. I mean, it was very fast. We tailored our filings with the IP attorney. And I think it's made it much of a stronger patent, because we actually include that in our filing, kind of our duty to disclose. We included all of those findings. So we were able to ultimately achieve a faster patent filing, and I think a stronger patent filing with this.
And so to defend that patent also, it allowed us now that material that the university put together for us, the Innovation Law Center, if there is ever a challenge against that patent, that material that we submitted part of this filing for the patent is material that allows us to be more protective and infringing upon other patents. We did our due diligence and we did our homework to make sure we were filing, that we had all the information there. That is that would have cost us, I don't even tell you, thousands and thousands of dollars to do in time and resources and energy. And having the students right here working with us, coming into the office here and seeing what we're able to do, it's just phenomenal.
And just high level perspective, we were able, with that report that was done over the summer, we were able to file our patent. It was the end of September. It was September 30th, almost, and immediately when that provisional patent was filed, we went out and marketed it, and we received a huge purchase order, over $700,000.
$719,000 that we secured in a true sale for this product. And now we have the patent filed so that it's protected, and we're the only ones now in the world that can do this.
So huge success story from us. We loved working with it. We've kicked off we want to do it again, just like Brian was saying. We're going to be that repeat business.
Well, thank you very much. And we really enjoyed working with you, and we understand you're applying again for this summer's EPIC ILC relationship. So good to see you again. And now,
thank you, Chris. Thank you, Joe. That's a tremendous endorsement for what we do, and we're happy to help.
Yeah,
glad it worked out.
Phenomenal what we were able to do with this. And again, what's nice about it now is, just like I said, we're able to spec this in. So now all the specs in the municipal market, they're saying they must have auxiliary lighting. Chris are on the IES committee, and now it's a requirement to be part of being spec'd in. So neat.
well, thank you again. And now we'll hear from Bing Dong. Bing?
Yes, thank you, Maureen. Can I share my screen?
Chris, how did you do it? I
Can you
think I can stop sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you just had to stop sharing. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Oh, there. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is good. Is this
Yep.
good? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. I'm Bing Dong, and I'm actually a social professor from Syracuse University, Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering. I'm also a social director for the Center of Excellence. So we're building control. As you can see, it's kind of a very small startup company coming from faculty members from SU. It's, of course, it's different stage as M3 Innovations. We just started, and we don't have any employees. Me and Jason are only 2 persons working on this company, and we don't have any revenues, as it's just started. So what do we try to do as we started? We try to come out some solutions for the safer space and a better life. So we are thinking about, we look at opportunities here because people spend 9% time in the buildings and in our physical social environment, impact our overall health. And again, on the other side, we consume a lot of energy in order to maintain the indoor health for the buildings. So we try to come out some so-called zero-sum controls. So we want to balance the energy consumption and the indoor air quality for all different types of buildings. So how we can do that? So we, based on our research, we come out a solution called AI-based predictive controls for IAQ and energy. So basically, we have installed occupant sensors to detect the people in the space, and we calculate infection risk based on people's presence and also ventilation rate. We look at weather forecasting, look at load forecasting for buildings, energy consumptions, and we come out optimal control, which can save energy and also maintain the indoor environment quality. So this is our idea, before we meet with Innovation Law Center. So we bring this idea, try to, kind of file a patent. So ultimately, we successfully file a provisional patent, and this is officially published. It's under pending. It's already published, but it's not granted. So the patent is called a system for minimizing indoor infection risk and maximizing energy savings. So of course, this is the ultimate results, right? But what's the process look like? So when we work with Innovation Law Center, first of all, they help us to do the IP landscape analysis. So basically, we bring this idea, we discuss with a group of students, and then they ask me a lot of questions, very detailed technical questions. So based on the answers, they identify 8 different or relevant patents, which actually doing similar things. And they also identify 2 relevant papers, although not patents, but papers. And so they, for each relevant patent, they conduct some patent and also freedom to operate analysis for each different patent. I can give you one example. So this example is filed by the Johnson Controls. It's called systems methods for creating using combined predictive models to control HVAC system. So from the title, it's very similar. Although it does not consider as indoor air quality, but it also considers a prediction of models. So you can see here. So Innovation Law Center help us to do the patentability analysis to go to very detail of this technology, how this is different from WBC's technology, and which part WBC technology actually can patent can be patentable. For example, WBC technology claims future occupancy, air quality, and future indoor temperature prediction. So this is something are not actually claimed in the current Johnson Controls patent. And then they also did some freedom to operate analysis. You can tell from here, it's attempting to predict the value of performance variables, while WBC technology is attempting to predict various conditions under which the HVAC unit can operate, increase unit efficiency. So, based on this very detailed analysis, it helps us to understand better, which part of technology actually can patentable. Because we are Jason and I are faculty members, so although I myself have some experience with patent, but it's not that into that detail. We often throw into university lawyers, and they will tell us, okay, give us your paper, and we will write something for you, right? So, but this time is different. So I think Innovation Law Center analyze the patentability and also freedom to operate, which is very new to me, and it helped me to understand better my technology and others' technology, which part is patentable. This is great help. The next one is Innovation Law Center also helps to do some other analysis. For example, the regulatory analysis and also market analysis. So I want to focus on the market analysis. So the market, as a faculty member or as a new staff co-founder, I'm not too familiar with what's the US market. So what I'm thinking is as a faculty, we can invent a lot of things, but it may not be needed by the market. So from the business point of view, it should always be market driven technologies, which will cause a user inspired technology. So the market analysis is really help us to position ourselves where we should be on the market and who is our competitors and what's the total market look like. What are the servable market, available market, these things. So so from this is extract from the report of the Innovation Law Center. So you can tell that they help us to identify the barriers to enter the market. What are the key external drivers, for this technology? What are the current performance? And also, what is the bigger market overview? For example, what's the overview for the building automation system market, right? So because we are invent some algorithm which control the HVAC system, so it's belong to the overall building automation system market. And what is US smart thermostat market? Because one of our technology is also talk to thermostat, make it can actually not only control the temperature, but also control the indoor environmental quality, indoor IAQ. So it's also related with the thermostat market. So they also help us to understand the overall US smart thermostat market. And also the last piece is a competition, right? So there's so many competitors in the market, like the Johnson Controls, Siemens, and Honeywell. They all try to do something similar. So, but what is the difference, right? What is their market look like? How our technology is different from their technology? So this is a very comprehensive review and also analysis on our competitors. Yeah. So I give you one example. So from market analysis, this is 2 diagrams I received in report. One is look at overview projection for the US building automation system market until 2027. How many $1 billion the market look like? And then on the right side is commercial and industrial smart thermostat market. Also projection to 2028. What is market size forecasting look like? So basically it gave us at least gave us our small comment and idea what's the overall big market look like. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I think overall, I think Innovation Law Center, at least help the company like us, just started, have no idea what's going on in the market, no idea who is our competitors. Innovation Law Center help us a lot understand our situation, and very importantly, we successfully, filed our patent, and it's also published. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So I'm not seeing any questions in the chat. We could talk a little bit more, Brian, if you wanted, about sort of some of the other analyses that we do sometimes in terms of the difference between obtaining a patent and obtaining a patent with broad claims, or sometimes you hear it said, strong patent versus a very narrow patent. Or we could conclude here. Are there any questions on anyone's mind or anything they'd like to talk about?
The other thing, while people are thinking about it, is maybe how to maintain patent integrity, because sometimes you can be your own, unfortunately, your own prior art if you disclose too much before you file your provisional patent.
Yes, good point. Bing, would you mind stop sharing, please?
I already stopped. So I can.
You did?
Yeah,
Okay.
see your slides. Yeah.
Yeah, we can see your slide, Molly.
Oh, okay. So
yeah, this is Brian. I was just going to comment on is, here we have, 2 different examples of different ways that our clients can use the information that we provide them. On the one hand, Bing was more early on and just trying to get a landscape and overview of the other types of patents that are out there in his particular field. Whereas, Joe and Chris are using it for more targeted to build out actually more refined and more robust patent protection based on the information that we provided to them. So, we provide information, to not only help the early startups, but existing and well-positioned companies.
yeah. And to Dave's point, we see sometimes people not realizing, especially people who are working with academic technology, the importance of being sure that you file for patent protection before you publish things or talk about it publicly or set up a website. So we always like to remind people of the importance of preserving the integrity. Also, when you're working with others, to have agreements in place, NDAs and things like that. And this is what I was talking a little bit about, the strength of a patent. You know, sometimes you are able to obtain a patent, but if it's so narrow that it really doesn't allow you to stop other people, one can question whether it's worth the investment. Let's see, we do have a question here. Let's see. Tammy would like us to, she's reminding us that nominations for the Summer Innovation Project, she's got the link there. And also, I think the deadline is 2 weeks, right? 2/24. I also put a link to the I-Corps, the Interior Northeast region, when I think you both spoke about the importance of understanding the market and who's going to be purchasing what you're producing. And I-Corps is a really good program to help people really dive in and make many, many calls to identify exactly who might be interested in what you're selling and sort of under what conditions they'd be interested in purchasing it.
Just to clarify, because I also teach in the NSF I-Corps program, when you're looking for product market fit, you're not really talking about your solution. So you're not getting in the way of your own patentability. You're just trying to find out what problems people are having in the marketplace and what their ideal solution would be. And so that's the point of the customer discovery. It's not to talk about your invention. It's to find out more about customer need. So the two programs go hand in hand.
Okay. Well, with that, I think we thank everyone very much and hope that you'll apply and hope that we might have the opportunity to work with you this coming summer.
And by all means, come on back if you have more questions for M3.
Great. You guys were terrific. I think Eric is probably going to wrap it up. We really appreciate it. You're being here and participating, and it's just a great opportunity for the companies on the call. If you haven't participated, we encourage you to. And as you're watching the Super Bowl on Sunday, think of Joe and think of Chris while you're watching that light show, because it's fabulous.
Yeah, it works especially well if you're watching your favorite team lose. So yeah.
As I think Tammy mentioned, please reach out. We're right here in the Syracuse COE building. Chris and I would enjoy talking to you, being through 2 startups and now high growth phase of our business, how we've gone from nothing to something twice, and share with you. So please stop in. It's exciting. We love it.
All right. Well, on behalf of the DOE Epic Buildings Program, I want to thank all the presenters and all the attendees. This was really great. That's an area that interests me personally, as well as in my role as the director for the Epic Buildings Program. So thanks to all of you and to the invisible attendees. And we'll do it again next year, I'm sure. And we'll be doing a handful of projects this summer. So do apply if it's in the space of preferably hardware technology, energy technologies for buildings.
Great.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Goodbye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. Well, thank you, Eric. Hope that.
No, I'm still here. I was
Okay.
about to leave. Well then, all right. Yep.
All right.
Eric,
Bye-bye.
before you go. Bye, Molly.
Bye-bye, Carrie. Take care.
Okay. Do you want me to stop? Our
too.
recording will stop automatically. All right. Yeah.
It will stop when you can turn it off. Do you happen
I
to
just
remember?
turned it off. Yeah, I had